The United States has vowed to hunt down and punish the terror cell responsible for a twin suicide bomb attack at the Kabul airport. At least 100 people were killed, including 13 US service members, in the deadliest day for America in Afghanistan in a decade. Despite warnings of an attack, huge numbers of Afghans desperate to flee Taliban rule were crowding airport gates when the blasts erupted. Australian troops who were stationed there were evacuated just hours before the attack, which has been claimed by a terrorist group linked to ISIS. With no Australians on the ground and fears of further attacks, the Prime Minister has declared our mission in Afghanistan is now over. We'll get the latest from Kabul and the reaction from Australia shortly, but we start our coverage tonight with Greg Jennett in Washington.
Slaughtered in a sewer. The dozens who didn't die instantly were plucked miserably from blood-infused water. The rest were ferried for care. Fanned out across the city, anything that had lightened the load would work. The bomber, strapped with explosives, had targeted the main entry point to the ringed Hamid Karzai airport at Abbey Gate, with the sewer canal and crowds thick with desperate Afghans alongside it. He approached the heavily guarded military checkpoint and detonated. A second bomber triggered his just down the road at the Baron Hotel, but it was the first that proved most deadly. America's top regional commander bore grim news of his fallen.
The attack on the Abbey Gate was followed by a number of ISIS gunmen who opened fire on civilians and military forces. This is close-up work.
Even after the carnage, threats were still in close.
We have other active threat streams, extremely active threat stream against the airfield.
He blamed Islamic State's Afghan offshoot, and ISIS-K was proud to claim it, praising the bomber for his martyrdom explosion against American forces in collaboration with the Taliban militia, who'd let hundreds of translators and collaborators get out of the country. It managed to make the Taliban sound reasonable.
Targeting innocent civilians is an act of terrorism that has to be condemned by the entire world.
Reverent, quavering, but unbowed.
We will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
Joe Biden had emerged from a day of talks with commanders to stick rigidly to his withdrawal deadline.
Here's what you need to know. These ISIS terrorists will not win. We will rescue the Americans. We will get our Afghan allies, and our mission will go on. America will not be intimidated.
Some evacuations are ongoing, though slowing sharply, and few linger by the wall in hope any longer. Now that terrorism's dark shadow cloaks Kabul once more. The bloodshed near the end draws to a close, an horrific war that's already cost the US-led coalition dearly. But it's Joe Biden who directed its final phase who'll be held to account for it. Little consolation that the intelligence picked it or that the final foreign forces will be out next Tuesday. History will still record these latest US war dead under this president's name. Greg Jennett, ABC News, Washington.
Let's bring in our correspondent Tom Joyner, who's in Dubai, where those final Australia flights were coordinated from. Tom, US commanders say they're on alert for rocket attacks and car bombs. What do we know about the terror threat at the airport at the moment?
Well, Jess, the tarmac at Kabul Airport is a lot quieter today, with many countries already having wrapped up their evacuation missions, including Australia, but many thousands of people still hoping to flee the country. The scenes outside the airport are just as frenetic and panicked as they've been over the last week or so. Now, you're right that there are fears that because of those attacks on the airport yesterday by an IS affiliate, that the threat level of further attacks remains high over the weekend. Now, all eyes, though, remain on the United States. It's sticking to its deadline of August 31 to withdraw from the country. The US President Joe Biden saying that he will deploy more troops at the 11th hour if they're needed. But for those Afghans who will remain trapped in their country beyond that point, their prospects look very dark indeed.
Tom Joyner reporting from Dubai. Well, Australia has now ended its military evacuation mission from Afghanistan while condemning the Kabul terror attack as evil. Tonight, an unknown number of Australians and Afghan visa holders are stuck in the war-torn country, facing growing danger and limited options to escape. Here's Defence correspondent Andrew Green.
Bloodshed and tragedy mark the end of Australia's longest ever military deployment.
Australia condemns the evil, the calculated and inhuman attacks.
Hours earlier, amid growing security fears, the last RAAF flight left the Afghan capital, delivering the final 70 evacuees to the safety of an Australian military base in the Middle East.
Over these 9 days, we have successfully evacuated some 4,100 people from one of the most dangerous places on earth.
It's not known precisely how many were unable to board Australia's evacuation flights.
We know that this is a very distressing situation for Australians still in Kabul, for people with visas and for family and friends who are here in Australia.
It is, I think, a legitimate decision for a government of the day to make decisions as to the safety of Australian personnel.
This Adelaide mother is one of many facing deep uncertainty and fear, unsure if she'll ever see her husband again.
I want to save him. I want you to save him and bring him back to her children, to his children.
The sudden end to the massive airlift operation brings to a close a 20-year Afghanistan mission, which began for this country after another foreign terror attack.
They will go with our best wishes, our prayers for a safe return.
The lengthy war would eventually claim the lives of 41 Australian soldiers. For Australia and allies like the United States, the Kabul attack shows the very real threat still posed by Islamic State and its various worldwide splinter groups. Invading Afghanistan and removing the Taliban was supposed to stop that country again becoming a safe haven for terrorists. The irony for the West is it may now need to work with its longtime enemy to help combat ISIS. The group claiming responsibility call themselves ISIS-K, after Khorasan, a historical region covering modern-day Afghanistan, Pakistan and Central Asia.
This ISIS-K, are they even Afghan? Where are they coming from? There are more questions I have than answers, but all I know is that the bloodshed is not going to stop.
And again, the Afghan people will pay a heavy price. Andrew Green, ABC News, Canberra.